I just finished attending the 28th Busan International Film Festival, or BIF, arguably the biggest film festival in Asia. This is my fourth time attending the film festival, and I should say it was getting more festive, returning to its glorious form as it is the first time to be held without any pandemic restriction at all. Another thing that strikes me personally is this year, I got a big chance to network with a lot of filmmakers, not just from Indonesia or Korea, but also from other countries, and made new friends that I couldn't imagine being friends with. That's the reason why I would like to discuss the significance of beef itself. But before that, I would like to share some of the films that I watched here, as the curation is also an important part of what makes this so festive. My fourth beef experience started with the festival's opening because I hate Korea. The film itself focuses on a young Korean adult who decided to move into New Zealand because he felt that Korea is a dead, hopeless country to live in. If you read the premise, it is indeed a very shocking decision to choose this film to open the film festival, especially since the bidding for Busan as 2030 Expo will take place in November. But personally, this is a film that I enjoy so much and could really relate to, perhaps because I live in Korea, knowing the invisible hierarchy system and how society would see you based on status. But even if you don't live in Korea, especially as a young adult, you would relate to the main character trying to navigate into this harsh world of reality with lots of expectation from people, avoiding us to living the best version of our lives. Not really much to say aside that it's a very simple, laid-back film that delivers its meaning literally. I already planned from the beginning of the festival to watch lots of Asian films this year rather than chasing films produced in the West. But I realized that I woke up too late to get the ticket I wanted and got the last seat for the screening of Romanian filmmaker Radu Jude's Do Not Expect Too Much from the End of the World. This could be said to be a very strange film that got a lot of influence from the French New Wave filmmaking through the use of unconventional techniques like jump cuts, black and white filmmaking, and slow motions. Set in the present day, as we see the main character Angela working for a day trying to find real-life subjects for a commercial in a very powerful satire way. You could see the strong irony as Angela herself tries to find real victims that experience accidents due to overworking for a safe at work commercial, find herself being exploited by the company hiring her to work overtime, and every time she reached her limit, she started to record this TikTok video using filters to hide her face and become the internet version of Andrew Tate, ranting about everything that came into her mind. It is perhaps not for everyone, but this kind of humor really hits me hard, and at the same time, I feel this kind of rage because what usually deliver is mostly true to the unethical working condition we have, but it doesn't really quite hit the bar to be fully enjoyable. Some of the directing choices, such as the use of rough slow motion and 10-minute montage that could be shortened into 1 minute, are a bit questionable in some sense. I know that this is a type of film that should be seen more than once, but for a first watch, it is quite annoying to say the least. The next screening is quite a bit special in this case. BF itself had a section titled On Screen where they would do a world premiere of a series and show 2, maximum 3 episodes on theater screen. The one chance that I got this time is Cigarette Girl, directed by the couple Camila Andini and Eva Isvansya. It is perhaps the best thing that I watched in the whole festival. The subject it depicts also feels very unique as it sees cigarette itself as an art rather than showing it in a negative light. The way that this filmmaker captured the set sucks me in, as I felt like I'm transported back in the 1960s of Indonesia where they still made cigarette using hands. Even during the Q&A session, there's a man in his 60s sharing his story that he quit smoking 20 years ago and wanted to smoke again after seeing this series. We watched 2 episodes out of 5, but I was already baffled with lots of emotion. Even my friend who sat beside me had her tears non-stop, already showing that this is a show worth watching. And like any other Andini film, its visual, sound design, and set design, the theme of feminism and historical value are well captured and translated, and I really can't wait to see the rest of the episode in November on Netflix. Last thing I watched at night was the Hong Kong film One More Chance starring Chow Yun-fat. The reason I watched this film is just because I wanted to see Chow Yun-fat on stage. Alongside Tony Leung and Andy Lau, he has been an actor that I really look up to from Hong Kong, and to see him in real life was like an out of experience thing. But if we're going to talk about the film, I can't really say much. The story itself felt like the copy-paste of Barry Levinson's Rain Man. Only this time, it is a story about the relationship between the father and his son. If it is not because of Chow Yun-fat performance, I believe that it would not be as much as enjoyable to watch this. It took a while for me to see him portraying a loser when you usually saw him as this cool, heroic character. But overall, this is a heartwarming experience but won't stay in your head that long after you leave. I must say that Beef excites me due to how the event organizers decided to have a special program titled The Renaissance of Indonesian Cinema, showcasing new and old film from Indonesia where it rapidly emerged as a key player in the Asian film industry. A chance for myself too, especially asked about the situation of the industry itself from the key players. I got a chance to do this by watching Sara, a film about a transgender woman coming back to her hometown due to the death of her father. A very sensitive subject matter to talk about in Indonesia, but the way the director Ismail Basbet presents Sara is so neutral, so unjudging, with lots of static shots where we as the spectator will be the one to decide from our moral stance. The character of Ustad, or defined as the cleric who graduated from higher Islamic learning and take care of the mosque, is my favorite character to be depicted in Beef. Pushing out the stereotypical character of religious leaders presented to be corrupted or morally uptight, and instead being a very caring character that understands Sarah so much. Even letting her go to the mosque to pray despite its religious value that saw LGBTQ as a sin. It is really a powerful reminder that humanity itself still exists in spite of the media keep on showing the one-sided nature of religious leader. This kind of film would usually be shown in Indonesia in the Hard House Theater but rarely to be shown in the public, and I really hope that Sara could be released publicly in Indonesia to understand what it really means to have the value of humanity inside us. Then the day ended with the world premiere of Joseph Angino's 24 Hour with Gaspar, who competed for the Kim Ji-sok Award. This is where I felt the vibe so different from any other screening, knowing that Indonesia's top list producer, director and actor came to watch the world premiere for the film. Lots of scream and support during the Q&A session made this one of the most memorable festival moments that I had. Anyway, back to the film. It isn't something that I expect from Noah's directorial work, a film that moves so quickly from plot point to plot point against Noah's directing style from his previous film that emphasizes moment. Yet that's what I thought made this film unique, since in the end it could be enjoyed by both mainstream audience with a simple story, but for art house fans one could actually ask a lot of philosophical questions and interpret symbolic visual in the second watch. Talking about the visual, it is what I consider to be the highlight in 24 Hour with Gaspar. Most Indonesian film in this genre always fall to the trap of CGI that looks so unpolished despite the expensive budget. Yet here, they use a more simple approach using lighting and rough on-set location to depict a more believable dystopian setting, and this film indeed a testimony that simple things are always the best approach to a film. I don't get to capture the video for this, but yes, I started my day with Poor Things. You hear that right? Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things. This is Lanthimos in his peak, actually exceeding the bar from all of his previous films with top-notch visual and the performance of the leads. Especially Emma Stone, who really nailed this bizarre, childlike innocent trapped in an adult body. This is by far perhaps his most accessible film alongside The Favorite, with strong, excessive humor that all audience could relate to. Not going to say much, but for Lanthimos fan, it is very worth watching, and as William Dafoe says, it is a happy tale. After some stage greeting from Indonesian filmmakers and lunch with my friends, my next viewing experience is Moro. Inspired by a true story of the conflict of Mindanao in the Philippines, it tells the story of two brothers, Jasim and Abdel, who haven't lived in peace due to financial and gambling problems. After her mom had a vision of her deceased husband taking their children with him, she became worried that the conflict would escalate and she would lose one of her sons, so she made an effort for these two to make amends. What follows later would be the inspiration of the film itself, as the conflict between locals and the government turned the situation into severe violence. And that's when the problem arises as a viewing experience, since these two stories didn't really fit each other. The introduction of the conflict comes later, and it would perhaps be better if it was split into two films. Technically, it isn't really a great movie with uninspiring action sequences that take half of the 80-minute long film, but what made it worth sitting through is perhaps the subject matter for the audience that involves the minority. During the Q&A session, a lot of them asked about the situation on Moro now, as well as how would the public react, as it was a very sensitive subject indeed. But if you ask me, I was sitting apathetically because I came from a country where Muslims themselves are a majority that consists of 89% of the population. The way they depict Muslims here is quite a bit mixed for me, as there's a lot of cultural appropriation, such as just you shouting Allahu Akbar for like 30 times in 2 minutes. Of course, I didn't know much about how the citizen of Moro lived, but the way the film depicts the citizen doesn't interest me much to find out more about it. After this, I will skip on what happened within day 5 until the afternoon of day 8, since I dedicated my time to watch short film as well as documentary films that I would like to discuss later in another video. But basically, why I would like to talk about it is the highlight of importance that these forms of films that tend to be overlooked in general viewing, the significance itself for us aspiring filmmakers, and how festival become the jumping point for keeping this medium alive. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, please do subscribe and like the video, and share this as well, because it will be great to raise the cause on what makes the Busan Film Festival so significant to attend. The evening of the 8th, I got a ticket to watch a Korean family drama titled House of the Season that tells the story of 3 generations gathering together in summer for a memorial ceremony called Jesa. This is a debut from new Korean filmmaker Oh Jung-min, but has this very professional quality that doesn't seem like his first time feature filmmaking at all. It is a very overabundant film with lots of character and topics to discuss in the range of Korean society and culture, talking about differences in tradition and norms between generations, as well as concern that Korean youth face. Through this very complex atmosphere, shifting very naturally from time to time, it deserves the standing ovation on how he was able to make this film so meticulously perfect, fleshing out all of the 10 main characters in a very gentle way that the audience understand about their distinct goal and personality. Creating this video, I am still amazed by this film and really hope to see more of his work in the upcoming years. The atmosphere itself honestly already felt very dead this time. Lots of filmmakers have gone back home. There was almost no guest visit on respective screenings. I myself was also very tired at this point, knowing that I've watched almost 20 films in the festival alone. And so I decided to just watch one film, which is Kidnapped by Marco Belluccio. I came in blind, ordering tickets randomly, and 10 minutes in I realized that this won't be an easy film to watch. It is about a young Jewish boy who was taken from his family to a Catholic establishment after it is revealed that he was baptized secretly. For context, at the time there was a law that forbade non-Christians to raise Christian children, and that's the reason why the son Edgardo Mortara was taken. The viewing experience might be different to those who know history, but throughout this film there's this feeling of rage and unsettling emotion, with a small glimpse of hope that they would be reunited and one as a family again. Yet, those build-up was well established for this hard-hitting third act that I will spoil, but this film really made me question my stance about what is right or wrong, and like Martin Scorsese's film that dealt with similar subject matter, I believe that it would haunt me as long as I can't really find the right answer for this question. The last day of the film festival, I would like to thank the festival committee for inviting me to the closing ceremony, to feel close to the important people that made this festival a successful event, and to be able to talk with these people is once in a lifetime experience that I can't be grateful enough for. This year, Beef closed with Ning Hao's The Movie Emperor, starring Andy Lau. It is a satire film about Lau himself as he must deal with the shifting industry, where he felt the industry and the world as a whole take actors more of a celebrity than just actors. Throughout the process, I could really feel what Lau is feeling, as there is this focus on how society and artists should be perceived as, rather than being an actor doing his job seriously. It is quite unfortunate though that the way how entangled this film is by using a lot of real-life parody that doesn't separate it into fiction filmmaking. During the middle, I even have to ask myself to take the film seriously or not, because the tone is shifted into more heavy-sided in the second half, but the idea of having them portrayed as real-life figures just doesn't mix well in my head. Respectfully, I get what Ning Hao is trying to say, but it would perhaps be better if they could make the real life figure into a fictional world where we could be sucked into it. Honestly, I still can't believe that I got to watch 20 movies this year, but aside from watching all of these cool movies, it felt so great to be in film festival where you were not only surrounded by the people behind the scene, but also sharing the same passionate feeling at the cinema with strangers inside the theater. There is this kind of discussion that had been so long about cinema is dying. The tagline itself was paraphrased for this year's Beef merch where it stated that theater is not dead. And this kind of festival become a reminder on how theater is still an important medium for us to enjoy. But usually when we talk about film festival, in a sense, many come for the sole purpose to watch celebrities and veteran directors presenting their project on stage. Beef doesn't really feel that way for me. Several of my friends who aren't really interested in cinema also got the chance of talking and discussing films with people behind the scenes, which felt so different from my friend's testimony who attended the Cannes Film Festival. He did tell me about how crowded that place was, filled with A-list names and press trying to cover stories for them. You could see the curation on the internet where the main competition consists of films made by well-known directors in the industry, unintentionally overshadowing the new filmmakers who are still trying to pave the way for their career, much less the aspiring filmmakers who try to gain connection there. In the end, he was a bit disappointed and decided to just take a walk in the Cannes beach for some fresh air. The purpose of Beef in the beginning had been clearly established to introduce new films and first-time filmmakers around the world, especially Asian filmmakers who just started their career in feature movies. These people, I would say, are mostly still the humble, down-to-earth filmmaker that made it a whole lot easier and comfortable for aspiring filmmakers like me to approach, as they still open for networking and do not worry too much about somebody leeching off them for his or her self-importance. Filled with new films that we never heard before, even the names or the people behind the scenes, it became a place for a lot of people to explore unknowingly, getting genuine response to experience film as an art without having any expectation to do so. Of course, there would be exceptions from some films, but most of the films featured here are for a youthful, young audience where the main theme represents them very well when we talk about the situation of our world now. In a sense, it is a place for young people to gather and grow, discovering each other's talent for future reference, while having a great time around Busan, sharing stories with each other about our own experiences and thoughts about the future. For film enthusiasts like me, it is a place that I could really call home. But even for someone who isn't passionate about film, it still gives its warm welcome to just have a good time surrounded by people with no exclusivity. Again, I would like to say thank you so much for the festival committee and volunteer of Beef, especially to invite me into the closing ceremony. It felt so surreal, and to attend the festival every year has always been a great pleasure to me, where I could really watch film as a form of art, as a form of appreciation, fully surrounded to experience something into the unknown as we watch a moving canvas, trying to express and deliver meaning to the audience. Sadly, I'll be graduating soon. I don't even know if I'm going to attend the Busan Film Festival again next year. Hopefully, if I did, it would be when my films get curated to be screened in the future. Again, please subscribe and like this video. Share if you think this is useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.